Here's our sample set of chronographs. Frankly, all the ones I own, except I also have a mission to Saturn. But they're a nice variety of chronographs and gives us an opportunity to really look at how the chronograph function, the complication, is presented. And actually, the term for a watch function is complication, and the term complicated comes from watches, FYI. Now, wristwatch check, I'm wearing my JLC Polaris, which is presented as a diving watch, has an internal timing bezel, and you can time events with the timing bezel, obviously. You put the arrow on the minute hand and then it tells you elapsed time, unless it's a countdown bezel, and that would be a different issue. But having the ability to time something with a bezel is not a chronograph. A chronograph is literally a watch with a stopwatch functionality built into it. So this is an old 10-second World War II jitterbug. I have a nice video on that. You should check it out. I'm not going to wind it up now because it literally starts, it ticks so fast, it's 40 beats a second, it hums almost. That's what they call it, the jitterbug. So check out the video if you want to have a good look at that one. But a stopwatch in a watch is a chronograph. A chronometer is a watch that is certified as an accurate timekeeping device. Now, let's start with, so let's look at electronic watches with stopwatch capability first. Well, because frankly, any electronic watch can have a stopwatch in it, and most Quartz LCD or handed watches have a stopwatch in it. In the case of most of these kinds of watches, you hit the mode button until alarm comes up and it comes out in the little window and you can time events. But it is a Quartz timepiece. I just wanted to genuflect in the direction that the G-Shock is one of the best, awesome, most capable, versatile watches you can have. And even considering all of these pieces that are sitting here, the G-Shock is really a great beater watch, daily wear, special event watch. I mean, there's literally no place, well, you can't really wear it with a suit, but they do have some metal versions that can pass in a business situation. But the G-Shock is just an awesome watch. You can get it with or without hands, Quartz and otherwise, LCD or otherwise. But if you want a good watch with a chronograph functionality, an electronic watch is a good primary alternative. And this cost me $150. So now, if we jump to another Quartz-based chronograph, like this Fairer, right? Now, the nice thing about a Quartz chronograph is that you can put a lot of functionality in it for the money, because you're not putting a lot of money into the labor to make the extra gears for the extra functions, as it were. For example, this watch is not only a stopwatch, it is also a split-second stopwatch, and it is also a flyback, although as a Quartz it spins forward instead of flying back, and tenths of a second timing, which if you got that in a mechanical stopwatch would cost you easily 5 figures. So, I mean, if you compare it to something that has a lot of functionality in a mechanical, like this GMT chronograph Navitimer, the only additional complication this one has is the GMT. I've had flybacks and retroponts, and they're all in the same price category. I mean, if you just want to get a retropunt or a flyback, those are going to be in the $5,000 to $10,000 category. And then you still have to have the other functions put together. So Quartz is always going to beat mechanical as far as functionality goes, but that's not the reason that we wear mechanical watches. Now, this is a more dress presentation of a chrono. This is the fuhnctions chronoscope, actually this sapphire crystal series, and it's based on the Valjoux 7750. So it has a very good base movement with that, Valjoux in there, or Etta bought Valjoux. Valjoux created the 7750, but they pay homage to the 7750 by continuing to call it the Valjoux. It is a good chronograph movement, and putting it into a dress case really jazzes it up nicely. It's got a display back, so you can see all that Valjoux 7750 goodness in there. Now, let's switch to another 7750 based chrono, but one that's a lot busier and a lot more tooly. I just referred to it a second ago, and that's the Breitling Navitimer, and in this case it's the GMT. The Navitimer is really presented as a tool watch. It's come to be known as a luxury tool watch because of the price point in recent years, but it was originally developed for engineers and pilots and other people who actually had to use the watch as a way to get their job done. In fact, this is arguably the first smartwatch. This outer bezel is the C&D ring of a slide rule, and you can actually do math on this, which is what they expected pilots to do: navigation, fuel, miles an hour, and the like. This one has, I said, an additional GMT complication, and it's an office GMT, not a travel GMT, but you can't have everything. But as a chrono, it's a very, very nice piece. This one's not wound, so I'll leave it be. If you do quote unquote dry fire a chrono, always make sure to stop and reset it so you don't have issues when you do put it on and start winding it, and then the chrono's running. So whenever you do start and stop a chrono when it's unwound, always make sure you stop and reset it. But all in all, a beautiful piece. Another Valjoux 7750 base. I don't have. I used to have more. Let's go to something completely different. Another dress presentation of a chrono, right? This is a Polyot, Russian military-oriented watch. It came out in the early 90s, immediately after the fall of the Soviet Union, but Polyot was making these kinds of watches during the Cold War as well. This is just more the last hurrah of these old military watches. And this one actually has a very interesting back history. The person who gave this to me was on the team that took apart the MiG-29 that defected to the West. This shows its dressiness by having a lot of glitzy add-ons. This bezel doesn't move, but it does look nice. It does have a tack scale in here. I don't know how useful the tack scale is, and it is a good chronograph. It is the Polyot 3133 movement, which interestingly enough does not have quick set date. You have to scroll between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. back and forth to change the date, and it's a bit tedious, so sometimes it's better to just wait until the calendar catches up with the clock. But all in all, it is a beautiful piece if you're into that kind of blue and gold and interesting features, the textured bezel with the indentation and the filling and all. It's a nice looking piece and an interesting presentation of the chrono function. So it's both kind of a tool watch intended for military, but also a little dressy because it's for an officer. All right, so let's look at our last. Well, not our last dress. I would call this my best dress chrono. It's also very nice on a NATO, as you see. It's a good sporty watch as well, and that is the venerable, famous, legendary Zenith El Primero Chronomaster. And the thing about the Chronomaster is it's a high beat, 10 beats per second, 5 hertz movement. And in this case, it's the open heart. The regular one has the same movement in it. It's just I like the fact that the open heart lets you see it. But this is a beautiful presentation of a chrono function, chrono complication. And it is a Thule dress watch. It also has a tack scale on it. Not that anyone uses a tack scale, but the fact that you put it on there, hints towards tool functionality. The other beautiful thing about this piece is it has a gorgeous movement. It really shows the workmanship that was saved for over 20 years in an attic at one point to preserve the company. You should check out that video. Let's jump to the classic, of course, the Speedmaster, arguably the most iconic watch out there, arguably the coolest watch out there until some other watch saves a bunch of astronauts' lives. I have this one on the black leather, the factory black leather, more to highlight, black on black. I really like that contrast, and you can wear this with a suit. And the chrono in here is just the standard. This is the 861 movement in here. You can tell this is an older model because of the patina in the indices, but the Speedmaster is a classic chrono presentation in a watch that can literally go anywhere depending on the strap you put on it. Now, let's jump over to another luxury-ish. This one is the Ratto Captain Cook chrono. It has a quick release strap so you can actually swap out. It even comes with leather, NATO, and metal bracelets. Let's let it get focus in. There we go. And this is a very interesting chrono. If you notice that it only has a minute totalizer, it's got running seconds, but no hour totalizer. Gives you a little bit more space and balance for the date, which, because of its white window, gives balance to the dial because it optically fits in with the indices. Now, as a chrono, it's more a luxury dress, sporty chrono. As a Thule chrono, they leave the tool functionality up to the diver aspect of this watch. And the Captain Cook is a retro design that is very much not looking like a Rolex, which is another reason to get a watch of this nature if you want something that's really smooth, good looking, very high quality, and you don't want people to think that it's a fake sub. This also has a nice display back as well with a beautiful movement inside, very well decorated perlage and the like. So another dressy chrono, also without a tack scale. I think it is a nice distinction that a serious dress watch, even if it has a chrono, doesn't have a tack scale, because tack scales are pretty useless in the first place. And in this case, it would clutter up an already busy dial, but this works very well with the way Cartier did it. I have it on the rubber strap to really emphasize the sportiness of it, and it works very well. The Santos is a lovely luxury piece, but it is a passable sports tool watch, chrono on that side at least. And last but not least, I thought we'd throw the MoonSwatch out there just to show you that you can get a decent watch at a reasonable price, although this is overpriced. The MoonSwatch should have been a little bit less, but you're also paying for the name. And the interesting thing about this one is it's not just an homage to the Speedmaster. It's an homage to a specific Speedmaster, the Alaska Project. So it shows you can have fun with a chronograph as well as just tell time with it.